up, YouTube? Nick here from The Real Heroes Show. Welcome back to another episode, and today I'm going to be covering the C finale of Season 2, wrapping up another Apple TV Plus show. Before we dive in, I just want to let you guys know that there will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't quite caught up, I do suggest you watch the finale. It is a doozy. And then come back over here and watch what I have to say about this finale. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Help us get to our goal of 1,000. We really appreciate all the newcomers and supporters here. So I'm going to dive right in and just say this was the best C episode, I think, of the entire series. Best of the Season 2, of course, as well. And then this Season 2 was just far better than Season 1 as well. And I'm going to kind of divide this up between three parts. Mainly, we're just going to jump right into the war itself, right? We knew it was going to happen. I kind of had a feeling earlier on in the season that the finale would be the big war between the Travantians and the Pyans. Of course, we've got Baba Voss versus Edo Voss, the brotherly battle. And, you know, one of the interesting parts that we learned more about with what Paris and Toad were set off to do via Baba Voss was to find the hidden tribes. And, you know, Baba Voss makes the joke about these tribesmen are stronger than the witch finders to Makti June. And honestly, just the more fighters, the better, because it sort of evened the playing field, right? They were outnumbered, like 2.5 to 1. So it made it a closer of a fight. And again, I think one of the best parts of this episode was the speech that Jason Momoa with Baba Voss gives for the soldiers. You know, he's fighting for freedom. He's fighting for the people. He's fighting as a husband, a father, and just not even so much a soldier or a leader, just he's one of them. And a great, hype, right before they get into the battle here. Of course, at the end, it was very, very Jason Momoa-like in the end, where he says, "Open the gate, let's open the gates and welcome the hell." And that doesn't kind of get your blood pumping, then I don't know what does. One of the things that did sort of remind me about this is very similar in some cases, on a far less grander scale, to Lord of the Rings with Return of the King. Obviously, this isn't, again, the scale is very, 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 very lower in comparison, but you've got the other, other cities from around like Gondor in Lord of the Rings that are coming to aid Gondor. And the same thing with the Rohirrim, as Rohan is aiding Gondor. They're trying to gather as much troops as they can, and how many riders can they amass before the assault on from Mordor arrives. So same thing. We've got this battalion led by Ren and Edo Voss, and as they kind of go through the gates, the Travantians are trickling in, but they're just getting picked off. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, literally. Hainam gets a nice double shot kill with the arrow. She sort of holds it back. I thought that was really cool. But then all of a sudden, Travantians are like, "Oh, we can play sight with sight." And then the little kid has a little toy drum, and he's on the back of someone, and he starts saying, "Quarter up," but he gives directions, and they start using their crossbows to take out the Pyans, and it gets to the point where Baba Voss cuts this rope in a giant, I think it's a bulldozer that just swings down, and that was a brutal part. It just wipes all of them out. And I guess the kid survived, though, as we see later on, of course. But even during that little time frame, Tamakti and Kofun and Baba were just tearing them up as they were just entering it. And again, I had kind of surmised earlier this season that we get a bloody finale, and boy, did we ever. And again, when it gets to a certain point, as they're retreating, they're sort of, Baba Voss and Tamakti, they're leading the troops into this narrow causeway and cutting bags that are filled with what looks to be oil. And Ito and Ren enter through the gates, and then they start slaying and just laying down the Payan soldiers left and right. And of course, again, we see what ends up happening in that Neo Trench when Bubba Voss gets the fire ignited, and then all of a sudden he again lights it all up and a little torch and just burns everyone. And Ren can so I think it was Ito Voss that could hear it. And just again, it's the Travantians yelling in agony as they burn alive. And I think the other interesting part was, again, I was wondering who was going to die. And Toad bites the dust, and his watch has ended. His service for protection for Kofun has ended. But I thought it was sweet of Kofun to just kind of hold Toad dear. And Toad couldn't quite say that to Kofun to tell Paris that he loves her, but we know that's what he meant, right? And Paris would know as well. And of course, as the Travantians are being led to their demise even more, we see this open area with high walls, and we see the tribesmen lower down ropes with bells on the end. And it's interesting because Bubba Voss has like this little panicky moment where you can kind of it does that typical slow motion. Everything sort of fades out, and it's this ringing as if he's sort of not really having a panic attack, but it's just all sort of like kind of getting in. He's kind of just getting lost in the moment. Takes off his armor, right, and as it's just getting too heavy, and because he has to pull down this massive boulder on a rope, and ultimately shatters the ice there that has been frozen. And again, that was a brutal trap as well. And then Ren's like, fall back, and just everything starts cracking. You see all the sinking soldiers in their armor because, of course, probably don't know how to swim. And then Ren falls in there, and I was like, oh man, they lost Ren as well. And of course, you kind of see the camera pan to Dave Bautista as Ito, and you could just see him be just so pissed. That's as he thinks he's lost his daughter. But just kidding. Just kidding. She's alive. I don't know how I felt about that. I wondered if it would have meant a little bit more to have her not survive, to affect maybe Haniwa a little bit more. It's just this is what happens in war, and in battle you lose people that you care for, even if it just happens to be someone on the other side. And of course, as much as that is the case, they were both sort of neutral. They were just kind of stuck on opposite sides because of family. So again, it sort of makes things interesting going to next season, but we'll talk more about that a little later. And again, the ending with Ito and Baba Voss fighting on the bridge. At first I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna be pretty fair, no weapons, and then Ito grabs a sword, and then just as Baba Voss has him in this nice like sort of chokehold with his arms, he lets him go because he doesn't want to kill him, right? He just wants it to end. And just as Baba grabs his samurai sword, his katana, Ito runs at him and takes it and stabs, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, it can't end this way. And of course, it doesn't, because Baba turns that sword around and just runs it right through his brother. And then, Ito learns the truth about their father saying that he should have killed Ito, and Baba said no. And of course, Ito says, what a prick. And as kind of funny as that was to go out, you could see the sadness within Baba because he lost his brother. And again, like one of the same sort of scenarios where his brother's on the other side, and Baba was there at one point on the other side, as he stated in his speech. And he was ultimately led to that decision. It was sort of forced upon him, right? Like, kill or be killed. And it kind of made him think about what he wanted to do with his his future, the rest of his life, as we see in the ending of this episode, right, of this season. I feel for him. Obviously, I think for the sake of his character, he's had to do a lot of he's had to take some tough decisions and sacrifices and pay the cost for it, right? Like his all the lashings on his back that were from his brother. So I think some people might say, well, it's kind of deserved, and of course Ito doesn't even know at that point that Ren is alive, and I don't think Baba Voss did either, and I don't know if that's something he would have said to sort of cause him to back off or go away or whatever, or just, again, Ito says, even if I were to join you, even your reach won't allow me to live. And he's right, as sad as that might be, even with Baba's wife, even as, Magra being queen, it probably won't be enough to spare Ito's life if he were to join the Pyans. And then, of course, he'd be a traitor. And then, of course, at what point Ren would do it? She's alive, and she goes back to the Travantians and is like, oh, I didn't know Ito did that. Or maybe they would have crossed paths, and he would have said, hey, I'm joining the Pyans with my brother. You should come. Maybe it would have worked out better that way. It could have been extremely hard still. But, again, We'll see what happens in season 3 with Ren going back to the Travantians and her lover's quarrel with Haniwa, because they say goodbye, right? Post battle, they say, well, I can't do this, and the interesting point about that was that Kofun finally sees what's going on, and he's kind of says, well, what about me? Like, she said, Haniwa says she's one of my people, and Kofun's like, what am I though? Obviously he's one of her people. I mean, more than that, he's her brother, he's her blood. So I'm kind of curious again what Kofun might think or say or react further to Haniwa in season 3. And of course they go back to Pensa, and one of the interesting things that we learned early on in this episode was when Magra goes to speak with her sister Sibith, and asks who the baby daddy is, and of course Kofun, but Magra threatens to take Sibith's son when it's born, and says your baby will never know you, right? And I definitely think that's possible. And I think Magra has it in her to make that so. Of course, we also learned a couple things that, Lord Harlan isn't dead. He's not dying. He's going to survive. So bravo. And we know that it was the lowland assassins that were sent to kill Magra. And of course, at one point, the family is reunited. There's, talk between Baba Voss and Magra about just this not being right for him, and of course at that point, again, we know that Baba's like, I'm gonna go on my own separate way, and he wakes up and says goodbye to his children without waking them, and goes off into the endless amount of trees and forest, into the great unknown, or wherever it is that he may know. And again, I don't know what that means for his character in season 3. I mean, I think he'll obviously have to come back at some point, and I wonder if the show will decide to go in this direction where we see what's going on with the Travantians and the Pyans moving forward, and all the characters that are related within the two populations. And I would hope that we get to see a little bit more of what Baba is doing on his own, right? It's not just, we don't see Jason Momoa at all, and then all of a sudden he comes back. And I think, again, no offense to the actors or the characters that are still alive at the end of season 2 going into season 3, right? Like the kids, Ren, Sibith, Tamakti June, Magra, Harlan. But Jason Momoa is such a big name, and we don't get Dave Bautista anymore. Again, I was really hoping he would stay alive and maybe retreat at the end or something along those lines going into season 3. So I wonder who the big bad is, because I can't think it's just going to be Ren. I don't think she's a strong enough character yet. I don't, she has to become more brutal, more just a little bit more ruthless, kind of like how Ito was. But who knows? Maybe the growth within her character will appear in season 3. Again, if we're going to make Sibith the bad guy, continuing to be a bad character, an antagonist to her protagonist sister, that's also a possibility. What will happen? Will she break off? And will people follow her? Again, there's a lot that's going to happen in season 3 within Pensa and the Pyans. Something else happens with Tamakti and Magra, as Tamakti is promoted to High General, and the officers of the Royal Guard. Sounds cool, right? Except Farrak, who was one of the high leaders within the Witchfinders, he confronts Tamakti right at that point and says, this is blasphemy, and he leaves. And then we learn that 22 other soldiers have left as well, and Tamakti fears that more will follow. And then in another private conversation between Tamakti and Magra, we hear that he's kind of getting tired of this, right? And of course, Magra's like, well, I hope for me you'll stay, and and of course, hopefully the rest of your years will be nice and better than the previous years. So I've grown fond of Tamakti Jun, especially in this season compared to the first season. Of course, he's had a complete 180 in character, but he can still be pretty ruthless and brutal with what he's good at. So again, I'm kind of curious to see where his Royal Guard will take him in the next season. And then we finally see Olaman, right? Gerald Morel's son. We finally see him again at the end, at the very end of the credits, right before it, right? As he seems to have found a way to create dynamite, right? He's got the long fuses. We don't quite see what the explosives are inside of these huts, but I think it's safe to say it's some sort of dynamite or explosive. So, again, that makes the Travantines rather happy. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see some explosions in season 3. And oh man, okay. The one thing that really pissed me off about this episode was when Paris. I wrote down in my notes that Paris still cares for Sibith, as she spoke up, right when they were exposing her for her lies and her treachery at the council meeting, where Magra, takes place as the queen, and Paris says, no, she's with child. And again, you might be, well, she just really cares about the child because it's Kofuns, and she cares about Kofun because she helped raise Kofun. Sure, connect the dots, it's fine. But Sibith, part about language, but she's such a bitch, man. And she kills Paris. She slices her neck with that little claw thing that she keeps on her, which is kind of gross, right? I don't know if it's just me, but she slices her neck, and then she just talks to herself or talks to Paris as, she's dying and bleeding out. And, the interesting part, of course, we don't see it happen in the episode, but someone's going to find her because someone's going to find her dead body. And then they realize that, wow, Sibith just killed Paris. They're going to, if they don't realize that, then they're just so dumb. If I were Kofun, I would probably just put an end to Sibith there. I wouldn't really give a shit if it was my kid or not. Do you really want your baby mama to be that crazy woman? Nope, probably not. And again, I apologize for saying if that offends anyone, but we're just talking about fictional characters here in the sake of Sibith is not a good person, and to kill someone like a presage of Paris, who is a good person and has really brought a lot to the show, I'm really bummed that she won't be in it anymore. unless they find a way to have saved her, which I highly doubt. I get it. It's good for the story, and it really throws a wrench and a bit of a twist in the writing to try and make a good episode, a good season, a good finale as to what's going to happen. But just, Toad's gone. Paris is gone. Maybe they're together in the afterlife or who knows what. But now, again, you lost another pivotal character that could have helped carry the show with its importance. So, I'm sure they'll bring in new characters, but with Baba Vosk, out in the wild, again, who's really going to help lead the power of this show? So, I'm a little concerned for season 3, if I'm being honest. Obviously, I'm still going to watch it. I'll still do reviews on it for the channel. But I'd really like to see what other people think. I'm waiting for some other people to watch it and again to hear what they think. But yeah, what does everyone think about what happened to Paris? What Sibith did? What do they think about Baba Voss? What's he going to do? Is he going to come back? What do you think Haniwa and Kofun will think? Especially Kofun. Do you think Ren will be a good leader for the Travantines? Do you think she'll be a good rival, a good character to play as an antagonist for the Travantines against the Pyans? And do you think the lovers' quarrel is over between Haniwa and Ren, or is it just going to continue to be tense and grow? What other questions do I have? What do you think about Magra? Do you think Magra will be a better queen? I think so. And do you think she'll lead her people like her father did, as Tamaki Jun stated? So again, leave your comments in the section below. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, the bell for notifications. We've got other videos coming out this week. Stay tuned for our highly anticipated review of Dune, and we're going to be going live after Dune, I believe, next Monday, which should be the 25th of October, maybe around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can make it and come hang out with us, chat with us, that'd be wonderful. We really had fun in our last live stream about 2 weeks ago. So again, much appreciated for everyone that's supported us and as we continue to grow this channel and community. So until next time, we'll see you guys on the next video. Cheers.